What's going on, y'all? KM Best here. We're going to take a look at Red Guardian, Marvel Snap's newest card. Is he overrated or is he overhated? Let's find out. Red Guardian is a 3/3 with the ability to target the opponent's lowest power card, silence it, removing its abilities, and give it -2 power. This makes him effectively a 3/5 with upside, and a lot of his upside and whether or not he's going to be good is conditional on the silence being good. It is interesting that this card comes out after they nerfed Zabu. This would have been a great answer to Zabu and is a much less great answer to a card like Hope Summers. One card it is phenomenal at answering, however, is Angela. I think a lot of its utility right now is in answering Angela because decks that are not playing Angela will very often have priority when playing a Red Guardian into an Angela lane, and decks that are playing Angela are usually pretty reliant on the Angela to become very, very large. Now, it's not the best Angela tech in the game. Shadow King does exist, but it is a proactive piece of Angela tech, which defines it a little bit differently from Shadow King. Shadow King will basically always be good against Angela and will be good at the end of the game, whereas Red Guardian needs to come down early in order to actually hit it. This card, of course, has other utility, though. Shadow King is very limited, and Red Guardian is always going to be basically a 3/5, and sometimes it'll hit other engine pieces. It can turn off a Nebula, it can turn off a Mobius, it can turn off a Hope Summers, given priority being the right way for you. There are other targets here. So in the comparison to Shadow King, I think this card ends up being a little bit more wide-ranging, but a little bit less good against specifically Angela, which is an awkward situation given that a lot of why you'd want to play it right now is Angela. Decks-wise, a lot of Red Guardian decks tend to be non-Angela decks because they are using her to be a mid-range deck and get dragged closer to competing with the Angela decks by Red Guardian. So typically what you'll see in a Red Guardian deck on ladder at the moment is some other mid-range core built to beat and get closer to the power of Angela by using Red Guardian and also controlling some of the different combo decks in the game. For example, obviously this gives you a better matchup into Living Tribunal than something like Shadow King would. It's not overly great into things like Hela. It's basically never doing anything except against Dracula, but hitting Dracula is relevant. And so you have this card that takes non-Angela mid-range decks, gets them closer to being as good as Angela mid-range decks in the heads up, and also has some minor utility against decks like Hela, against decks like Living Tribunal, sometimes against decks like Mr. Negative, where this is a card that is being run for multiple purposes, and you can actually see it being useful in terms of making your matchup spreads a little bit more even. You still have some problems with some of the other draws from those decks, but it is nice to have these answers when you play a deck like this. This is a Pixie Mobius deck that I believe is based on a Jeff Hoagland cook, and it has been doing pretty well at High Infinite, and it did pretty well for me. I think a lot of the benefit that this deck has is just having a lot of unpredictability in it, and Red Hulk very easily could be, or not Red Hulk, Red Guardian, sorry, there's a lot of red in this season, shout out Playboy Cardi, whole lot of red, but there's just kind of not a necessity for this card in this deck, right? Like, it's good, don't get me wrong, but you also could run Shang-Chi, you could run any other tech card in that spot, you could run Hope Summers. There's just a lot of options that this deck has for this spot. And so you're sort of sitting there wondering, like, do I need Red Guardian to play a deck like this? And I think the answer is probably not, but it can be helpful in the ways described. Working along the same theory, I was looking for other decks that were non-Angela mid-range decks that we could sort of put Red Guardian in and use it as a multi-purpose tech tool to try to get closer to the Angela decks and to try to have answers to stuff like Living Tribunal, Dracula, things of that nature, where like Red Guardian will just like randomly be really good some of the time. And that was sort of the theory behind this one here. I pulled this one off of Untapped, but I don't think it's like a very original idea. This is just, you know, Black Bolt mid-range. But one of the reasons Black Bolt mid-range really sort of fell off is because it doesn't work with Angela as well as basically anything else. And Angela, Hope, Elsa, Kitty is just a way better thing to be doing in terms of points than Black Bolt really ever will be. Now, what this deck is trying to do is use the Red Guardian in order to make sure your opponent's Angelas are completely terrible, and then use cards like Black Bolt and Silver Samurai to try to win the combo matchups. I found some reasonable success with this, but I won't go out on a limb and say this is a thing that's worth crafting Red Guardian for. It's more demonstrating, hey, look, Red Guardian is being used for this specific thing, a combination of decent into some of the combo decks and good in non-Angela decks against Angela stuff. This is another example of a deck that is not really built to play Angela, that is saying, okay, you know what, Red Guardian, I'm going to put you in here, and that way these Angela decks aren't going to beat my ass so hard. I think this is actually pretty compelling. This is a deck that is very close to a deck that was an honorable mention on my previous tier list, and I think it's a pretty good deck. I remember, I think I went plus 50 SP with the pre-Red Guardian version of this. It was already pretty close. And this kind of stuff is what I'd be looking for homes for Red Guardian that actually last, where it's like a deck that is already pretty good, that has a poor matchup into the Angela stuff, and that can really, really help, right? Like, this is a deck that's already pretty good. It's not the greatest Angela deck. It's not the greatest into the card Dracula. It's not the greatest into Living Tribunal. Red Guardian actually sort of solves all of those issues. And being able to really do that, I think this is like the kind of thing where is most likely Red Guardian sees a real permanent home. Because right now, this deck has no real ways to deal with a big Angela, and so it just has to sort of sit on that. Being able to stop that Angela very early really does swing how this deck plays into those Angela decks. Even though, I mean, like, you're still a Nebula deck, you get kittied, it's not a great matchup, but he does actually help. And I think this, of all of the decks that I've gone through, is the one that seems the most compelling as a long-term potential home for him because of the way Red Guardian is such a specific problem solver in the list. So the next question I felt like I had to answer was, what if we actually just put Red Guardian in an Angela deck to have better Angela deck matchups? And I think that ended up being, like, pretty plausible. Now, when I'm thinking about which Angela decks I want to do that in, the Darkhawk deck jumped out because the Darkhawk deck is the one that is least able to reasonably run a Shadow King. This is a deck that is very built on like 5+1 final turn of the game, maybe 6+1 with a Hope Summers. It is not a deck that can easily accommodate a final turn Shadow King, so therefore it is a deck that I think could actually reasonably want Red Guardian. I will say, this was my most successful Red Guardian deck, however, I'm not sure if that's an endorsement of Red Guardian or just saying that, hey, you know what? Whether or not Red Guardian is good, Angela, Hope, Kitty, that's good enough that it works anyway, right? Like, that is the worry here, where it's like, yeah, I just kind of put it in a shell that was already pretty good, and it was pretty good in that shell, and this is my most successful build, and it's like, is that enough for me to say the card is worth getting? I'm really genuinely not sure. I do think that you have to think about the tenor of the deck you want to put it in, which is to say, the decks that are more able, like Silky Smooth, to have like a variety of final turn plays, like those are the decks that you'd probably just rather have Shadow King if you're teching for this matchup. Maybe you'd rather be a Sandman Leader deck. Red Guardian is worse at beating the other Angela decks than doing either of those things. But if you want to play the new card, it's not bad, and you want to have like some random wins against Dracula, some random wins against Living Tribunal, again, like it's not the worst thing in the world to just have these free wins in your deck. It really isn't. Now, all of that said, I don't think it strikes me as fairly unlikely that this is the best version of this deck, and the thing that strikes me as likely not the best is probably the Red Guardian inclusion. We'll have to see. All right, so this is the part where people get mad at me, but Loki actually does make sense as a shell for Red Guardian because of all the Angela decks, it is the one that least wants to be playing Shadow King. However, I'm not sure it actually needs Red Guardian, right? Like, you'd probably rather just play some other tech piece here, but he does do some fun stuff. The interesting thing about the Loki Red Guardian is you're normally playing Red Guardian in these decks to have a better Angela matchup and then just like randomly hit engines. Loki already has an amazing Angela matchup. This is sort of doubling down on being good at that. And you also just get to free roll the part where he hits like your opponent's Mobius or whatever, right? That's actually pretty good. Don't get me wrong. That's like a legitimately good thing to do. He's a legitimately fine card in this slot. This is a fine card to play. I really like, this is a very much a flex slot. You can play Cosmo, you can play Hope Summers, you can play Red Guardian here. It's really not all that bad. The issue is, like, you can play Cosmo, you can play Hope Summers, so it's hard for me to look at that and say, this is a compelling reason for you to craft Red Guardian when there are so many other things that have been proven to be good in this spot, and Red Guardian is fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with him, but he is a bit doubling down on what you're already good at. And so you really need those like wins against a Living Tribunal, against a Cerebro, against an Iron Man deck. You really need those to show up. And if they don't show up, you're probably better off running something else, is sort of my take right now. So, should you buy Red Guardian? My instinct right now is that, combined with the fact that this cache is not all that great if you already own High Evolutionary, I would potentially stay away from Red Guardian. I do think he's very useful if you are the kind of player who does not want to play Angela decks and wants to be better into those Angela decks with other mid-range decks. Genuinely. Playing this card on an Angela is one of the best feelings in the game. It is absolutely berserk. It is absolutely snappable. It is an amazing thing to do. Having that option in the meta is a good thing. However, Shadow King still exists, and it's very hard to convince me that if you want to beat Angela decks, there are not better ways of doing it. Which means the value you get from this card has to be made up in the other things it beats. It is like the third best Angela tech card, right? But it can be a good tech card for other things too. And so the question then becomes, what else is it going to be reliably hitting, and how often is that good? Because the stat line on this is good. It's better than Shadow King. It's more widely ranging than Shadow King. It'll hit more shit. It'll deal with more stuff. But I'm not sure that's enough for it to consistently make the cut in decks. Then that means that this is going to be, I'm going to give it a rating of hold off. I want you to watch this video. Maybe you'll watch my gameplay afterwards. You'll see it being good. You'll see it being bad. You'll get to see it in some various situations. We're going to have some gameplay on the end of this video, mostly with the Darkhawk deck, I think. And that is going to be how you'll have to think about it. Like, this is not a snap buy, I think. I think this is going to be a card that you have to consider your resources, consider your situation, and figure out what kind of player you are, because there are players who I think should buy this and will be happy with it, but I don't think that's everybody. So please be careful with your caches. Of course, however, if you are a new player, High Evolutionary is one of the best investments you can make early. If you're early in the collection track, getting High Evo is absolutely phenomenal, so this can be a good cache still. But, and it's a big but, I'm not sure overall how good this guy is yet. I think there are compelling reasons to run him, but I don't think that this is a card right now that I see having a long-lasting, easy slot into meta decks. That, of course, can change. But for now, what you're going to need to assess is how versatile he is and how many things he's hitting that aren't just like hitting an Angela. I will say, hitting Jeffs is a surprisingly good thing to do, because people will clog their lanes with the expectation they can Jeff out of that. And that is actually really good too. But I worry that, like, you know, that kind of stuff, it's very good. I think he's just a solid card, but I think he needs to be superlative to be worth spending caches, and especially 6,000 tokens on. And I just don't know if he's superlative yet. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. As always, I've been Cam Best. You just got the Cam Boost. We're going to jump to some gameplay with these decks. I think we're mostly going to see the Darkhawk deck here. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. And as always, you know, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one. TVA? I think I'm supposed to just snap the fact that I have multiple hoods on a TVA game. Nice. Okay. That was not unexpected, you know? They snap me? What the fuck is happening? What the fuck is happening? No Annie? Yeah, maybe that's just right too. There is probably going to be a backstage. Angela's alright. Rude. What are you, surfing? What is happening right now? What is going on? I don't want to play that. I want to hold it for like a loot cage or something. What is this? What is this? I'm confused too. Rude Profex, we live in a snap society. Yeah. Red Guardian would have won left. It would have. It rolls, doesn't it? Uh-huh. Chat. Chat. Red Guardian dubbing the fuck out. Red Guardian dubbing the fuck out. Holy shit. Red Guardian, your Negasonic is a crazy fucking play. Oh my god. Say that. People say that like it's the easiest thing in the world to trade a guy like that. It's really hard to trade a guy. It's very difficult to do. Do I snap double Silver Surfer? I kind of feel like I'm supposed to. Or double silver samurai. I will. My God. Yeah, that Guardian's gonna be nice. And this hits the shard twice. Oh man, they already copied it. Are they sniping? What the fuck? How are you... Damn, that's some wild shit happening. Not gonna lie. Glad we got rid of that Quake. Glad we got rid of that Quake. I'm scared shitless, I'm not gonna lie. Ooh, Red Guardian, the Red Guardian. Tiebreaker that we win. Tiebreaker that we win. Ooh, that was really scary. I was afraid of them being able to move their Jeff into the space throw then. That's why we didn't go actually play on right, was because of Jeff moving into the space throw. Not very relevant. That was Dagger Task guy? Ah, let's see. Alright, what are they getting? We gotta hope so. Damn, that's like a good card. I feel like we should just be playing that. Why aren't we playing that card? That card rocks. We should be playing that card. That's a great card. Who's about that beastie? Alright, Red Guardian right now. Red Guardian right now. Holy shit. Holy shit. Is this a snap? Let's go. Let's go. Woo! Was 100% the play. I had Luke. Oh yeah, Red Guardian also wasn't enough. Fuck. It doesn't even win that game. Brutal. They snap me because they are a kitty deck. All right, hold on, chat. Hold on, chat. Nah, never mind. We lost. Nah, never mind. We lost. I thought I was doing a thing. I was not doing a thing. I thought I was doing something. I was not cooking. I was hoping to guard the red. Correct. That is exactly what I was hoping to do. I mean, it is going to be the biggest kitty pride to ever live, right? No arguments here. I think I'm still fucked. I don't want to, like, cope my way into this. I think I am trying to cope my way into this. It's like Shang plus Kitty. This is... So that Kitty is 34. So they go to 17. We have 10. We have 14. And we die. Correct? Is that right? I believe we're dead if they have Shang too. Correct? Is it worth staying in regardless? Screw it! Whoa! We did it! The fucking Millers are out in force today. Mill gamers everywhere. They got my cord. See, I'm thinking about snapping. I'm not. Like, we have some very strong shit. I'm scared. I'm a little scared. The one card I'm really scared of here is the card Professor, right? That's the guy that I don't want to see. That's the guy I'm like, if that shows up, I'm in trouble. Oh, that's a really fast play. Oh, but it's not Professor. Okay, that's very nice. They get a Korg, an Angela, or a Beast here. I think I gotta feel comfortable with how this is going. A Shang to 12. We win that. We beat a Shang here. We beat a Shang here. But do we beat a Red Hulk? Okay, we're good. We're good. Red Hulk, very large. And very in charge. What's that bottle you were drinking of? It looks like blue. Oh, it's blue. Easy. Maybe. Wow. No idea what'll happen here. Bunch of shit possible. Good thing I got a warning about that. Of course. Of course. Naturally. Alright, Chad, are you ready for me to lose this shit? Are you ready for me to lose this shit on a danger room roll? I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for me to lose this shit on a danger room roll. Let's go. Haha! Did not lose the shit on a danger room roll. Oh my god. We really almost lost that though. If that had gone the wrong way, we would have died.